I still wrestle with prompt drift myself, but honestly, I have a much more exhausting confession today. I try a brand new AI tool every single week. I rarely build anything truly useful with them, though. I just stay permanently stuck in this, trying mode.
Yeah, that is incredibly common right now. It is the ultimate shiny object syndrome in tech. We are just totally paralyzed by endless options.
It is completely overwhelming for most of us. Welcome to the deep dive. We are cutting through that absolute noise right now. Today, we are unpacking something called the AI Fire Stack. It comes from a developer named Neil Fan.
Right, and he writes AI tutorials for a living. He has stress-tested hundreds of these tools by now. He knows what actually survives the daily hype cycle.
Exactly. So we are looking at his refined setup. We are exploring the exact 5 tools he actually uses, the ones he keeps open on his screen daily. We are going to move chronologically through a normal workday, from that chaotic morning routine to deep, rigorous research, then into coding, ending with seamless background automation.
I am entirely ready when you are.
Neil points out this trap we all fall into. A new AI tool drops on Twitter every week.
And the immediate temptation is to just try everything. You open a shiny new interface on a Monday, you poke around aimlessly for a single afternoon, you think it is somewhat interesting in theory, then you just abandon it for the next launch.
It is like buying a specialized kitchen gadget daily, but you are still ordering takeout every single night.
Right, exactly.
You never actually learn a tool's true workflow value.
That is a perfect way to visualize it. Switching contexts constantly is actually the core problem. You confuse testing software with doing actual deep work.
Right. You never see a tool's actual compounding potential. Neil realized that combining just 2 reliable tools works better. For example, he pairs Google Flow and Claude together. He uses them strictly for AI video creation workflows.
Yeah, and the results are vastly superior that way. Sticking to those 2 covers everything needed for video. It keeps his scenes completely visually consistent.
It heavily beats jumping between 10 different experimental platforms. Which brings up a really important philosophical question here. Is our obsession with new AI tools actually killing our productivity?
Absolutely. Because we are optimizing for novelty instead of utility. True productivity requires sustained focus on a few core tools. When you constantly switch, you stay on the surface. You never discover how a tool solves complex problems. Beat, like touching every machine at the gym for 10 seconds.
And wondering why you aren't actually getting fit.
Yeah, exactly. You were just spinning your reels.
Chasing endless novelty stops us from mastering truly useful workflows.
Nailed it. It is an exhausting cycle.
So if we step away from shiny object syndrome, it begs the question of where a productive day begins. Because for most of us, mornings are absolute chaos.
Oh, it is that horrific context-switching marathon we hate.
Yeah.
Usually mornings mean jumping between 5 different siloed apps.
Yeah.
You're just trying to figure out what is on fire.
Which brings us to the first tool in Neil's stack. It is a specific tool called Claude Cowork. What makes this fascinating is that it operates passively.
Yeah, it completely replaces that chaotic morning app scramble. It sits quietly in the background of your workspace. It passively pulls in your actual real work context.
We are talking about deep integrations with your existing systems. It reads your Gmail and your Google Calendar automatically. It also pulls from Notion and your urgent Slack messages.
And it digests all of that complex information seamlessly. It automatically generates a customized morning brief for you. The crucial distinction is how it actually operates. You do not write a single line of code.
Wow.
Right. You do not upload massive text files manually either.
It just runs automatically in the background every single day. It only surfaces the information that actually needs your attention. It completely removes the friction of daily context switching.
It avoids anything you have to manually copy and paste. That passive integration is the absolute secret here. It prevents you from starting your day feeling completely overwhelmed.
I have to push back a little bit here, though. How do we trust an AI to know which emails and Slack messages actually matter?
That is a very valid concern to have initially. But it uses specific workflow parameters you designed beforehand. You set the strict boundaries for what is important.
Okay, so it learns your priorities.
Exactly. It learns the actual rhythm of your specific workday. It collapses repetitive daily tasks into one highly reliable view. 2-sec silence.
It acts as a highly customized executive assistant for daily triage.
Yes. It filters the noise so you can just work.
So your morning brief is finally done and dusted, your brain is clear, and you are doing deep work. But sudden decisions inevitably pop up throughout the day. A client throws a curveball or a logic problem
You
emerges.
do not want to disrupt your deep work setup then. That is exactly where the daily workflow usually breaks down. And that brings us to tool number 2 today.
It is the zero setup tool called Claude Chat. Neil keeps this open on his screen all day long.
It acts as his incredibly fast, quick-thinking partner. It is much quicker than waiting for a busy teammate. It is all about maintaining your creative momentum continuously.
Right. If you just need to draft a quick message, or if you need to compare two different strategic options, you go straight to Claude Chat for an immediate response.
Neil uses it for some very specific daily cases, actually. He drops 2 different prompts in to compare results instantly. He does this on the spot to optimize his outputs.
He also uses it to heavily pressure test his side hustles. He checks real-world constraints before he commits any resources.
Yeah, he specifically looks at execution cost and time limits. He uses it to check whether an idea is actually viable. It stops him from chasing completely unrealistic project goals.
He even thinks through workflow logic with it beforehand. He does this before building any complex automated systems. He wants to ensure the baseline logic actually holds up. But I wonder about the psychological impact here. Is there a danger in using AI as a sounding board instead of human intuition?
That raises a profoundly important question about human agency. It is definitely a huge risk if you follow blindly. But Neil actively uses it to challenge his own logic. He is not asking the tool to invent the logic entirely. It serves as a rigorous mirror for your own thoughts.
We use it to challenge our logic, not completely invent it.
Precisely. It is a sparring partner, not your boss.
Sponsor.
Yeah.
So chat is fantastic for those very fast logic tests. But what happens when you need hard, verifiable facts? When your daily research requires real sources before you act?
That is exactly where tool number 3 enters the picture. We are talking about Perplexity for deep-sighted research.
Because chatbots are notorious for confidently hallucinating fake information, you cannot build a business strategy on completely fabricated data.
Exactly. Unlike regular chatbots, Perplexity returns direct, real-world source citations. You know exactly where every single piece of info came from.
Right, you are not just blindly trusting the model's output. It is particularly brilliant for exploring an entirely new topic, especially when you lack the background knowledge yourself.
Neil uses it to build these comprehensive knowledge maps initially. He does this before he even attempts learning a new topic.
He asks for the broad landscape of a subject first, which saves hundreds of hours of completely wasted effort later.
Because reading dense material without direction is extremely inefficient. You end up learning abstract theory without any practical application. Building a map beforehand gives you clear, actionable direction.
It stops you from guessing what logical step comes next. If you learn by doing, this approach is absolutely essential. But let's be appropriately critical about the underlying technology. Does having citations completely eliminate the hallucination problem in AI?
If we look at the broader technical picture, no. It absolutely does not eliminate hallucinations entirely forever. The AI can still occasionally misinterpret a perfectly valid source.
Right, that still happens.
But it fundamentally changes the verification process for us. You can actually click the provided links to check facts. You can verify the source material yourself instantly and safely. Beat.
Citations shift the burden from guessing truth to simply verifying it.
Yeah. It beautifully bridges the gap between chat and real research.
So we have our deep research properly mapped out. We have pressure tested the logic, and we know our goal. Now it is time to actually build a real product.
This is where moving from theory to execution gets really hard. And that brings us to tool number 4, Claude Code.
This specific tool is entirely different from the others because it operates at the entire overarching project level.
Right. It does not just look at one isolated snippet. It reads your whole project and edits multiple files simultaneously. It even runs your tests and commits your finished code.
It does not need constant step-by-step guidance from you. It genuinely acts as an autonomous digital builder team. But the most crucial habit Neil highlights is the plan command.
Right, and this completely changes how every coding session goes.
You run /plan before starting any complex developmental task. You ask it to explain the intended architecture out loud first, because catching a bad approach takes 30 seconds right then.
But fixing a bad implementation takes 30 painful minutes later. Whoa, imagine scaling this to feel like an entire engineering team. This is where my mind is just totally blown right now. Neil sometimes runs 10 or more sub-agents in parallel.
Wait, sub-agents, let's define that.
Yeah.
Tiny AI helpers working together on different parts of a task.
Perfect definition.
Yep.
Yes, you have all these specialized agents working together seamlessly. They tackle completely different parts of the exact same task.
Oh,
One is testing, one is writing, one is checking security.
wow.
It feels exactly like managing a highly competent small team. You control your API costs and avoid token waste highly efficiently.
But does working with parallel agents change how we fundamentally think about project management?
It creates a massive paradigm shift in how we work.
Yeah.
You shift from being a stressed solo worker doing everything, you suddenly become a high-level manager of a digital team.
Mm-hmm.
You focus entirely on the core architecture and desired outcomes. The AI handles all the tedious, granular implementation details for you. 2-sec silence.
You manage the broad digital outcomes, not every single granular keystroke.
Beautifully said. You direct the symphony.
So, the code is written and the new product is live. But how do we make sure it runs continuously forever?
While we sleep. That brings us to our final tool today. Tool number 5 is N8N for background automation workflows.
It acts as the invisible background engine for your projects. It pulls and processes complex data without manual intervention. It quietly connects all the different tools you are already using.
And we really should contrast this with consumer tools like Zapier.
Right. Neil intentionally runs his N8N setup on a VPS. A VPS is a rented private server that stays online continuously.
Hosting it there means you get completely predictable, flat costs. It runs 24/7 without any punitive per execution fees.
Because platforms like Zapier charge you every single time they run. Those fees can violently balloon as your project volume scales. For serious automations, that financial difference adds up incredibly fast.
But Neil issues a massive, crucial warning here for eager beginners. Do not jump straight into building flashy autonomous AI agents.
He says you must master standard data flows and triggers first. You also need to heavily master JSON format structure initially. JSON is just a simple text format for swapping data between apps.
Getting genuinely comfortable with those boring basics is absolutely critical. It is what makes everything else work reliably in the long term. You must master the foundational layers to build truly resilient systems.
Building a house requires a solid, unglamorous, concrete foundation first. Data flow is the unglamorous concrete of all AI automation. Flashy agents will quickly fail without a rock-solid data flow. But why do so many people rush straight to AI agents?
Because agents sound incredibly exciting and highly futuristic to talk about. Everyone wants to say they built an autonomous AI worker.
Right.
But standard, boring workflows are the actual reliable engine driving everything. If your underlying data foundation is fundamentally broken initially, your fancy, expensive AI agent is just going to fail much faster.
Beat. Flashy agents inevitably crash without a boring, reliable data architecture.
You really must master the mundane to achieve the magical.
So what does this entire tool stack actually mean for you? Neil's ultimate core philosophy is actually profoundly simple to grasp. Treat your AI tools exactly like employees with very specific jobs.
Do not just hoard them like a useless digital collection. They only provide value when each tool has a defined job. You must know exactly when and why to reach for it.
He has a completely brilliant 30-second framework for evaluating this. Whenever a new AI tool drops on your feed, ask this: which specific part of my actual day needs this tool?
If you cannot answer that clearly in 30 seconds, ignore it. Popularity on Twitter is not a good filter for actual utility.
Yeah.
Conversely, obscurity is not a valid reason to ignore something entirely. The only thing that truly matters is solving your real gaps.
I want you to brutally audit your own screen today. Look at all your open browser tabs right now, please. Apply that ruthless 30-second rule to every single one of them.
See what actually survives the rigorous cut in your workflow today. Pick just one single tool that fits an obvious daily gap. Start right there and build your reliable system from the ground up.
Here's a final provocative thought for you to ponder today. What if we actively evaluated our own human habits this way? Using that exact same ruthless 30-second filter on our daily routines, does this specific human habit actually solve a real gap in my day?
Now that is a truly fascinating concept to explore further.
Thank you so much for joining us on the deep dive. We will see you on the next one.